penalties last year at this venue against the Central Coast Mariners after an epic 3-3 draw. And Sydney FC are back again here today after beating Apia Leichhardt at this venue in the last round. What can we expect this afternoon? Well, hot weather for a start, temperatures well over 30 degrees. We're going to have a couple of drinks breaks at the 25th minute and 70th minute mark. And Sydney FC looking to reach the semi-finals for the 5th time in their history. But as you might remember, this was the stage they fell at last season, rather surprisingly perhaps, to the Oakley Cannons. As for Western United, and there are a few of their fans here today as well, they've never been this far in their short existence. So a last four berth would be one for the record books for John Aloisi's team. And they did win the only meeting between the pair at this stadium, which came back in the 2019-20 season. And they are also yet to concede so far in their 2 Australia Cup ties in 2023. So all set at Leichhardt Oval. Here's the team news. Sydney go with an unchanged 11 from the side that accounted for Apia here in the last round, despite the availability again of Ryan Grant after injury and Max Burgess after suspension. Both start on the bench. Keely Adamson continues in defence alongside Jake Girdwood-Reich. Anthony Caceres will play as the 10 again, and Pat Wood leads the attack with new Brazilian signing Fabio Gomes not quite ready to be involved as yet. Now likewise, Western United are unchanged. They include off-season signings from Sydney, James Donachie and goalkeeper Thomas Hewitt-Bell. 18-year-old Oliver Laval continues in attack alongside Michael Roos. Laval watched United's grand final win from the stands in 2022 as part of the Western service crew. Daniel Pena is on the bench standing by for his debut. Noah Botic also available in reserve after returning from international duty with the Olyroos. Jake Girdwood-Reich there, who's playing in a slightly different position in the Australia Cup. He's playing alongside Jack Rodwell in the central defensive role. That might all change with the signing on Friday of Jordan Courtney-Perkins. Alex Wilkinson, of course, now retired. And there's Ollie Laval, just 18 years of age. His senior debut in the last round against the Gold Coast Knights. He did try to claim the first goal, eventually credited as an own goal, but he's had a standout season in the NPL Victoria. And John Aloisi happy to give him another chance from the off here this afternoon. Talking to the coaches, Steve Corica and John Aloisi, of course, long-time Socceroos teammates and both players in Sydney FC's title-winning campaign of 2010. Neither actually played in the grand final that year due to injury. Both now looking to add more silverware to already glittering playing careers. Our referee today is Casey Rybelt, the 35-year-old from Brisbane who officiated in 2 games at the recent FIFA Women's World Cup. There is John Aloisi alongside his assistant Hayden Fox, who's also a former Sydney FC player. He did actually play in that grand final I mentioned in 2010. Enjoying the afternoon sunshine in Sydney's inner west. Well, they'll be grateful for the fact that they are in the shade, as are most of the crowd here at Leichhardt Oval. Just a few brave souls on the hill on the far side of the stadium. So it is Sydney FC who kick us off. A very warm spring afternoon in Sydney's inner west. Temperatures above 30 degrees. Great day to be on the hill having a cold one, and place in the Australia Cup semi-final. The prize with a draw a little bit later on tonight. Andrew Redmayne to clear, playing in all black today. You don't often see that from a goalkeeper, Daniel McBreen.
Oh, maybe trying to lose a few kilos in the heat. But yeah, over 30 degrees, as you said, 32 degrees. Western United chose to come out for their warm-up 5 minutes later, said it's warm enough, we can cut our warm-up down. wonder if that'll play into Sydney's hands a little.
Ollie Laval nipped in ahead of Rodwell. He's gone down injured. Sydney sought that out, but Laval took quite a heavy whack there from the more experienced Rodwell as they both challenged for the ball. Try and walk it off. Let's have another look at it. Actually, it was a slip on the turf, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just seemed
maybe just hyperextended that leg.
Yeah, the studs didn't really grip and slipped. Seems to be moving okay now.
Lockie Wales to shift the ball forward. Here's Laval, who seems to be moving freely enough now. He comes across towards the back post, where Riku Danzaki is offside. One of the many off-season arrivals at Western United, had that short-lived stint with Motherwell that didn't really work out, just 4 appearances. 1 or 2 question marks over his fitness levels from Motherwell coach Stuart Kettlewell. Back to rebuild his career in Australia, where of course he enjoyed a fair bit of success with Brisbane Roar. This is Sydney FC's first chance to try and get forward. Shift it all the way back towards Girdwood Reich on halfway. Sydney too much changed from last season. Keely Adamson looking to steal it on the blind side, but no way through. And the likes of Adam Lafondra, Adrian Segacic, Diego Caballo, Paolo Retre, and of course James Donachie and Thomas Hewitt-Bell, both in opposition today, all having left Sydney FC during the off-season. It's a familiar tale for most of the teams across the competition.
I was going through the teams yesterday and all the players that have left. I think Sydney FC are sat somewhere in the middle, so there's some of the teams, 15 players have left. So plenty of work to do on getting them organised and working as a unit.
Sydney have high hopes for Fabio Gomez, of course, that they've just acquired on loan, the Brazilian. He'll take over that number 9 role from Lafondra. Andrew Redmayne taking no chances, with Michael Roos looking to close him down. It'll be a Western throw. Michael Roos, formerly with the Mariners, of course, and MacArthur FC. Swung into the penalty area by Josh Risdon. Danzaki to retrieve it. Western throw by Garuccio. And ferried back. All the way back, in fact. A bit strong too for Thomas Hewitt-Bell. Good job, he's pretty nifty with the feet. Up towards Laval, but easy win in the air for Joel King. I guess he can count as one of those new arrivals, at least on a permanent basis. He's on loan from Odense, back with the club where he started, now signed on a 3-year deal. Joe Lolly working his way past Sebastian Pasquale in midfield. Put forward by Holman, but a fraction too high for Patrick Wood. Say Fabio Gomez is going to lead the line for Sydney. Of course, Patrick Wood might have something to say about that. He's been waiting for his chance for quite some time.
Yeah, I think he's got probably limited time to really force the issue and stay there.
Good ball by Bratton. Picking up Robert Mack, fresh from international duty where he scored for Slovakia against Liechtenstein in the Euro qualifiers. Luke Bratton can have a dig here. Oh, it's off the post. And out for Keely Adamson, who can't pick out a teammate in the middle. What a hit from Luke Bratton. And Hewitt-Bell was beaten.
Oh, it was a wonderful strike, wasn't it? Western United. John Aloisi won't be too impressed with the space he was allowed to see there on the edge of the box. Able to take it out of his feet. As you say, Simon, Hewitt-Bell was beaten on the full stretch. It cannons off the inside of the post. There's an early warning sign for Western United. You can't give that space on the edge of the box.
He's only ever scored once for Sydney FC. That was back in January 2021 in the A-League against Wellington. I do remember him scoring a cup semi-final goal for Melbourne City in a derby against Victory some years ago. freshly appointed Sydney FC captain in the wake of Alex Wilkinson's retirement, and he was only a fraction away there from giving Sydney FC an early lead. Lachie Wells trying to turn clear. There's no foul by Bratton. And King will work it out to Robbie Mack, who's got a bit of time and space. Little back heel is clever. Joel King with the cutback. And Pasquale dallied on the ball, and Patrick Wood trying to dig it out. This is Holman and Joe Lolly trying to place it. And Heward Bell kind of stuck hold of that, but maybe he's just picked up a little bit of a knock here, Heward Bell. He apologises for not taking the ball cleanly.
I think as that ball came in, it was great battling. Actually good to win the ball. As it came out wide and the shot came in, I think the bobble was enough just to put Heward Bell off.
Here's the corner from Lolly in towards the near post, away strongly by Roos. Picked up by Caceres. Still plenty forward for Sydney. In it comes. It beats Risdon, and Western can't clear their lines here. Attempted back heel by Mack, didn't quite come off. Holman strongly into the challenge, so was Risdon. And Western come away, and the counter could be on. It's Riku Danzaki on the right. Has two teammates up alongside him, but he turns into a cul-de-sac. Well defended in the end by Girdwood Reich.
They did really well there, Girdwood Reich. Cut down the angle. The pass to the left looked like it could have been played to Lavale, but Girdwood Reich stepped across. Good defending, blocked the pass.
Well, a bright start in the bright sunshine in Sydney's inner west. Luke Bratton has already grazed the post, and Jake Girdwood Reich is shaping as a decent option in that central defensive role. I don't know whether he's played there before the Australia Cup, maybe in the NPL New South Wales, but he's looked fairly accomplished there.
It's the modern footballer, isn't it, Simon? Can't just be one position. You have to be versatile, especially young, and you want to get your break into the first team. You have to be versatile, play a couple of positions. Most of the players coming through the academy these days will be put in 2 or 3 different positions to give them that sense of what it takes to play in each different position. It's always good, you have your specialist position, but it's always nice to know what the guys around you really want to see as well. Put yourself in that position, makes you able to think like your teammates.
Paolo Rattray was the ultimate utility player for Sydney FC during his time with the club, wasn't he? Now in the Indian Super League. Jack Rodwell almost embarrassed there by Lachie Wales. Forward by King. Caceres was under pressure. Dug out by Angus Thurgate. Strange to see him in Western United colours after so many years with Newcastle Jets. Is that the Buzz Cup as well, Macca?
Well, it was a long time coming.
Well, the Buzz Cup.
Yeah.
I take it you know Angus well.
I know Angus quite well, yeah. He had the Jack Charlton comb over going for quite a few years, from about the age of 16, I believe, and he's finally gone with the buzz cut. He looks much better for it.
Steady down by Imai. Worked out by Thurgate for Risdon, who'll place it over the top for the run of Ollie Laval. He gets there ahead of Girdwood Reich. Risdon pushing forward. 2 in the box for Western. Still Risdon. And spooned up in the air by Rodwell. Awkward for Adamson. Gets it out of harm's way for now. Garuccio. Pasquale. All the way back through James Donachie, and now Tomoki Imai. Laval just having a reach for it. That's a useful ball over the top by Wales. Michael Roos looking to attack Girdwood Reich, who stands his ground and sees it out for a Western throw. Just see that the pitch is a little bit bobbly in places. Wales finds Thurgate at the top of the box. Steered away by Girdwood Reich. Back towards the Sydney penalty area by Donachie. Steadied down here by Bratton, who has a little look. And Lolly, and he's done Ben Garuccio there. He's not quite got enough pace to get away from the fullback. Oh, it's a very clever ball in for Caceres. Oh, that's a fine finish. A fine, fine goal by Sydney FC. And Anthony Caceres, who scored in the previous round at this venue against Apia Leichhardt, opens the scoring in the quarter-final against Western United.
Well, that's a wonderful goal from Sydney FC. Started on that right-hand side, and you look here, as it breaks away, the slowness of the pitch as the ground dries out sort of hampered the attack, and you thought it might have come to an end there, but look at Anthony Caceres. It just drifts in behind the line. Wonderful ball in, and a wonderful finish to boot. You see here, as it comes inside, you think, well, where's his options? And Anthony Caceres, as he did in the last round, opens up the scoring with a wonderful finish.
Well, it's not as eye-catching, perhaps, as his solo run against the Tigers in the last round. All credit to Joe Lolly for the assist, but it's a beautiful first touch to set himself, and the placement was perfect.
Yeah, he's one of the technically best players in the league, has been for years, Anthony Caceres. First touch is immaculate.
So first blood to Sydney FC. But, a few words of encouragement for Western United. You mentioned it in the pre-game show, Macca, that each of the teams that has won through in the quarter-final has actually come from behind.
Yeah, well, plenty of time to go as well. In the 13th minute at the moment.
Slip by Michael Roos, just checking the studs. Same sort of area where Ollie Laval lost his footing as well.
I was just about to say that. And I think as this game goes on and the sun dries the pitch out, it's going to be a little stickier too with the ball. So we might be able to see a few balls going behind, as we see there. Some pressure on the ball. I was just down pitch side. I was talking to Tristan McManus. And that man there, Laval, he is a very solid boy. He's very strong.
Good to see him getting another opportunity from the off. Alexander Prijovic still with Western, by the way, but not part of the squad today. And hot mail is he probably won't be with Western once the season starts. So there's a vacancy there, potentially, in attack for Western. This is Lolly and Bratton inviting Joel King forwards. He'll clip it towards Keely Adamson at the back post. Lolly will let it run for the throw. Lolly to drive in the cross. Oh, and Risdon. Not sure that was what he intended to do.
Well, we've seen both teams struggle at times to clear the ball from their box, and that was unorthodox to say the least. Josh Risdon.
Another chance for Joe Lolly. Swipes across the ball at Rodwell at the back post. Bratton, look at that for a ball. Beautiful control. Lolly with time, clips it in over the heads of Girdwood Reich. Sydney still buzzing around the Western penalty area. It's Robbie Mack. Needs a bit of help here. And it'll be a goal kick. Let's go down to Tristan McManus.
Hello guys, what a great start to this game. I'm starting to see the Sydney that I've been hearing about for so long. They look like such a confident team. And it's interesting, the first 12, 15 minutes of the game here. The consistency, I suppose, of having the same squad is going to be huge this season. There's so many clubs that have changed, so many players. Western are far from out of this game. I mean, considering how long Macca knows him, on the day when he's growing out his beard, that was very harsh to stick into Angus about his head. But he was being a great signing for them. It's been a good game so far. Ollie's been great up the front, and they still have Noah Bodic on the bench. So it's great start. Great start. Bratton's loving it too.
Steady with the beardism, Tristan. Two of us against you
boy
here.
band. I don't know what's going on.
Bit too old for that, mate.
Sorry, man band.
Here's Thurgate. Garuccio misses out Thurgate. And Donachie will drive it crossfield. A little too high for Lachlan Wales. James Donachie, who changed clubs again during the off-season to go down to Western. He was involved in most of Sydney FC's games last season for one reason or another. Formerly, of course, with Melbourne Victory and Newcastle Jets, Brisbane Roar. Spells overseas in Korea with the John Dragons and in India with FC Goa. It's Lolly busy in the early stages. Slightly overhit by Joel King for Mac. Goal by Anthony Caceres, the first one that Western have conceded in this year's Australia Cup. 2 clean sheets in the 2-0 win over the Gold Coast Knights, and before that the Edgeworth Eagles in the round of 32, your old club, Macca.
Yeah, it is my old club. They didn't really put up too much of a fight against Western United on that occasion. They didn't get it all their own way against Gold Coast Knights. There's plenty of shots based on target against them.
Yeah, the Knights actually had 17 shots in total to Western 16. Scotty McDonald's team giving a good account of themselves before bowing out.
Yeah, they did. And they probably found themselves unlucky not to score one or two.
All of which leaves the Melbourne Knights as the only NPL team in the semi-final draw, which will take place, of course, at the conclusion of today's game. Melbourne City and Brisbane Roar, the two A-League sides in the hat. And at the moment, here at least, it's looking like Sydney FC will join them. Here's Rodwell. Just on the semi-final draw, of course, Melbourne Knights being the NPL team, they will be at home, whoever they draw. So that will be some occasion at Knights Stadium. Famous old venue that's played host to many, many big games in the past. Rodwell. Too heavy for Lolly.
Well, he gave up on that pretty early there, Joe Lolly, didn't he? Fancy the chase into the corner. Thought he may have got there. Maybe I'm being a little harsh.
One Englishman trying to feed another. Maybe Lolly was saying, hey, come on, it's too hot, mate. Joel King. Bratton. Lolly. Swivel of the hips, and not quite on the same wavelength this time as Anthony Caceres as they were for the goal.
Well, he was thinking the same, wasn't he? Just make that run in behind Caceres. On that occasion, Caceres had just halted his run.
Played upfield and out of play by Jimmy Donachie. Keely Adamson with the throw. Youngster who playing as the right back today for Sydney FC. Ryan Grant is back after injury on the bench. Adamson maintaining his spot. Here's Wales. Mac almost cut it out, wasn't quite able to. Laval. Experience. Bit of defending that from Rodwell. Thurgate. Donachie. Garuccio looking to go beyond. Work back towards Pasquale. Risdon. Start again Western through Imai. Donachie. Danzaki's touch. Worked out nicely towards Wales. King trying to stay with him. Thurgate. Laval with Rodwell as ever at his back, and again Jack Rodwell just a bit too smart for the youngster, who to his credit has won the ball back and forced a throw in Western's favour.
Call it some dogged defending from Sydney FC there as a group, as a unit. Pressure on the ball. Saw the switch of play come out to Lachie Wales. Joel King was out immediately on his touch, making him force him to go backwards. Just can't seem to find a way through at the moment. Plenty of possession.
That's clever from Risdon. Little readjustment. Doing for Robbie Mack and drilled out wide by Pasquale towards Garuccio. Danzaki, nice little turn by the Japanese midfielder. Solid challenge by Corey Holman. Still there though for Western. Thurgate will work it wide. Wales, and Thurgate's gone beyond. Trying to wrap his boot around it, but Rodwell will see it out for another Western throw. Better little spell from John Aloisi's team. Square by Imai, Donachie, and Garuccio. A bit of space here for Michael Roos. Held up momentarily by Adamson. Was then a foul on Thurgate. Free Rybelt handily placed, said no. Lolly for Caceres. There's nothing much on the left-hand side. Joel King is pushing up now. I guess on such a warm afternoon, Mackie, you've got to time those runs and make the right decisions. Otherwise, it's a long way back on a hot afternoon.
Yeah, well, you'd normally say to your players, give me everything, run yourself into the ground, make those runs. We've got plenty of subs these days.
Here's Patrick Ward, Sydney threatening, and Lolly just dragged his effort wide at that left-hand upright. Not far off.
No, it was a patient build-up.
And this effort from Joe Lolly. Here's the final little bit of action before we take the first drinks break on such a warm afternoon in Sydney's inner west. But Joe Lolly has certainly been central to a lot of good things down that left-hand side for Sydney FC, and it was he, Daniel McBreen, that teed up Anthony Caceres for the game's only goal so far. Yeah,
it was a wonderful move. He came short and took the ball and used his pace to break free. And when Western United looked like they'd got back and solved the problem, Anthony Caceres had made a wonderful run. And Lolly found him with the pass, and as we're accustomed to seeing with Caceres, wonderful touch and finish as you see here. Look at the pace there to get away. Ball gets a little stuck in the pitch there, and you think maybe the moment was lost. Eyes up, you see he's looking every moment, and as he cuts inside, Caceres, great touch. Two little quick touches between his feet and a wonderful finish across the keeper into that far corner.
The second time he scored in the Cup at this venue in the competition in 2023. He's playing in a role that he really likes as well in this Australia Cup run for Sydney FC as the sole number 10. And fully vindicating that decision by Steve Corica as coach. And prior to that, Macca, Sydney FC had hit the post through Luke Bratton, and then as we just saw before the drinks break, Joe Lolly inching a shot just wide. So Sydney have had the better of the opportunities.
Oh, they have. Yeah, look, they've also had a lot more possession. They've only given away one shot, none on target for Western United. So defensively as a unit, they've worked well, but they've looked more creative going forward. They've looked like the more likely to open up the opposition defence. And I think Steve Corica will be happy with the opening 25 minutes.
Drinks break over. Ryan Grant waving to his adoring public.
Is that mum in the crowd? Is she?
Giving it to the players today,
Oh,
aren't you,
yeah.
Macca?
Look, it's early in the season. We're all in high spirits. Spring's in the air. We're all happy, aren't we? And I'm sure the Sydney FC fans will love to see him out there again. Not very often in this day and age you see a player at the one club for so many years, but credit to him. He's been at the very top of his game for just over a decade now.
I'm sure he hasn't given up on getting his Socceroos spot back either, ahead of the Asian Cup to come in January, of course. Talking of Asia, Champions League and AFC Cup starts this week. More on that in a moment. Here's Robbie Mack for Sydney. Just took it a fraction too wide, but it's still there for the home side. Patrick Woods breaks for Caceres. Bratton. King. Mack. And Caceres. Bratton looking to drive it for that run in behind of Lolly. It's going to be a corner off Ben Garuccio.
That's a wonderful ball, that, from Bratton, isn't it? Become so accustomed to it over the years. He opens his body up and just really drives through the ball, asking his teammate just to run on it. Great camera angle there.
Nice and patient, weren't they, Sydney? Here's the corner from Lolly. Headed out towards Caceres, who trod on the ball initially. He's in position for the return from Lolly, and it's going to be another corner. This time off Lockie Wales. Sydney's third corner of the game. Lolly again. A little bit too much on that. Could have caused a problem for Heward Bell, but he had all the angles covered. Just on those Asian club competitions during the week as we watch Lolly's corner again. Might have been going direct for goal there, you know. Melbourne City in action on Wednesday night on Paramount Plus against Venfret Kofu of Japan. Australia's solitary entry in the senior competition. On the same night, the Mariners in action against Tiranganu, an away game in the AFC Cup. And then Thursday at Shan United against MacArthur. Here's Joel King, and it was too hot to handle for Heward Bell, brought down here by Mack. And Western trying to play their way out. Here's a chance. Patrick Woods digs it out and places it into the bottom corner, and Sydney FC have doubled their money. And it's a little message perhaps from Pat Woods to Fabio Gomez that he's not going to have things all his own way as Sydney FC's number 9. 2-0 for the Sky Blues.
Well, we saw earlier in the half, Western United had trouble clearing the ball from their own box. Well, it was wonderful play from Sydney in the first instance, and as the ball dropped down, you thought they'd done enough here and could clear the ball, and then they got themselves in all kinds of problems. And as the ball's fired back in, Pat Wood, where every good number 9 should be, right in the middle of goal, loitering around that 6-yard area. Johnny on the spot, takes a touch, puts it away, and it's 2-0 to Sydney, and a deserved 2-0 lead at that.
And really, Sebastian Pasquale trying to play out from his own penalty area. Got himself into all sorts of bother. Lolly fizzed it back in, and Pat Wood was there to pick up the scraps. He maintains his record of having scored in every round for Sydney FC.
Well, he's doing everything that Steve Corica could ask of him to say, if you want that 9 spot, go and show me. Well, all he has to do is score goals, and he continues to do so. And could create some headaches for Steve Corica, which is a good thing to have as a manager. Sometimes those selection problems can keep you up at night, but you know that each player is pushing each other in the team to be their best.
Well, in no-league terms, you want 2 players for every position, if possible, don't you?
Yeah, without a doubt. without a doubt. Always want those players to be thinking, I need to be, every day I step on that training pitch, I need to be at my best, otherwise someone could take that spot.
This is Keely Adamson for Sydney. Paul Bratton. Heavy challenge from Pasquale, and Bratton stayed down. It's Western who've got the whistle for the foul on Danzaki subsequently. Joe Lolly heavily involved in both goals for Sydney. And Western need a response. See if they can get it from this set piece. Lockie Wales sends up the signal. Garucho is there as well. James Donachie looking to make his move at the back post. Goes more centrally instead, and Keely Adamson helps it over and behind for a corner. It was an appeal for a penalty by Josh Risdon. Felt he was impeded as he went to make his run. Corner will have to suffice for Western. Plenty of pace on it, and it's up in the air. Difficult one for Redmayne to deal with, and he could only push it away. Didn't really get the distance he wanted, and he's now looking up to the sky as if to say, well, I got blinded by the sun, which he may well have been, to be fair.
Well, his punch went straight to the feet of Laval, who really had an air swing. I thought that was a good opportunity for Western United.
Pasquale. Is a foul by Corey Holman. He's enjoying a little run in the first team. Brother of MacArthur's Jake. Had major injury problems last season, which restricted his involvement in the A-League. Here's Lockie Wales, a good challenge by Girdwood Reich. He is a nuggety character, isn't he? Jake Girdwood Reich, be it in midfield or defence. Josh Risdon lost his footing there, not once, but twice. Caceres. Bundled over by Roos, and the whistle goes for a foul.
Well, another example of Anthony Caceres, great footwork there. Just bamboozled the defence. See here, 1, 2, and left them for dead. And uses his body to get across to protect the ball and draws the foul.
Just to echo what you said earlier, Macca, is a wonderfully gifted, very technical footballer, isn't he, Anthony Caceres?
Yeah.
Bratton, look at that for a ball. And Lolly's onto it. Still in play. Dropped down by Mack. No pressure on him. And still Robbie Mack trying to place it. And Western was slow to recover there.
Yeah, they had their warning earlier on when Bratton smacked one against the post. And they all stood and watched again. You just can't allow these quality players that time and space on the edge of the box. You will invariably find one goes flying back into the back of the net again.
That's a lovely touch by Laval. Fortunately, his second one didn't match it.
Well, it's not through a lack of runs or effort from the front two of Western United. Both Roos and Laval making good runs into the channels, trying to get across their centre-back. They just haven't quite found the supply or the support play to really trouble this Sydney FC defence. When they have, Sydney FC defence has been up to task.
One powerfully in the air by Imai. Tidied up though by Jack Rodwell. Redmayne to clear. Holman under pressure from Thurgate. Might have been a foul there, but Casey Rybelt plays a good advantage. Lockie Wales. Clever ball by Wales. Chance for Pasquale. He sort of shanked that a bit with the outside of the boot, Sebastian Pasquale.
I think the ball just went across his body a little further than he thought it would as he was trying to take the shot, and he had to try to adjust. Got in a real awkward position.
Another young midfielder who's had injury problems. Sebastian Pasquale. Good to see him starting games on a regular basis. Donachie back to his goalkeeper. Garucho is clipped by Keely Adamson and is in a little bit of discomfort because of that. Just caught him, the young fullback. There he is, regular in the Sydney FC NPL New South Wales team this season, just 20 years of age. Father is from Tanzania, his mum Australian-Irish.
Is he still on just an NPL contract?
He is, yeah.
He's not doing himself any harm for pushing for something more, is he?
Ben Garucho might disagree. Luke Bratton's picked up a hefty whack here and is in a fair bit of pain. It's sort of partly the position that Luke Bratton plays in, isn't it? But it does seem to attract an awful lot of fouls, doesn't he?
Well, on this one, I think Angus Thurgoat was reeling off balance from the previous foul, and that sort of contributed to being a little late into the following challenge.
Well, your opponents will say Luke Bratton commits a few fouls as well. Risdon. Pasquale got a call. Donachie. Wheeled in by Thurgoat, touched by Danzaki. Garucho goes long and Roos is after it, but Redmayne out to meet him. And there's a little bit of contact from Roos there, and Casey Rybelt did not miss it. Little whack to the side of Sydney FC goalkeeper.
Well, I thought we may have seen our first yellow card there. That was clearly
elbow, isn't it?
Yeah, it was late. The elbow was lifted a little bit. He could have easily got out of the way of Redmayne, let's put it that way.
Anyway, the black wiggle is okay. It's probably officially charcoal or something like that.
Well,
it is these
you know
days,
you're going to get tweets, aren't you?
Sydney FC have got another player down. Play continues. Risdon trying to find a way through. Girdwood Reich won't let him. It's Robbie Mack who's down on the near touchline. Still on his haunches, rather gingerly back to his feet now.
Put it out.
Whack to the ribs. Let's have a conversation with his opposite number, Josh Risdon, about it. It's a sore one for the Slovakian. Taking in a couple of deep breaths. Doesn't look too comfortable, does he?
No, he doesn't. You see here why. Strong challenge from Risdon, but didn't look anything untoward. Maybe just caught him with the trailing elbow as he came through.
If it's the point of the elbow, can knock the stuffing out of you a bit. Tied it up nicely by Patrick Woods. Back foraging deep inside his own half. Gertwood Reich. Holman nicely out of a little hole there, and he puts it forward. Wood was in position, but he'd gone a fraction too early, the Sydney striker.
A fraction. I think he'd gone a couple of metres. He was already standing in an offside position as the play unfolded. You can see that. Clearly offside.
Yeah, he's a good metre or two, isn't he? I was being kind. Caceres feeding back. Risdon sharp to the challenge again. If you were John Aloisi, would you perhaps be thinking in terms of Daniel Pena in the second half to provide a little bit more creativity? We shall see. Standing by for his debut, the former Newcastle Jet, who performed so impressively the season before last, before departing for a stint with Daegu in South Korea, where he was unfortunate enough to pick up an ACL injury early on in that stint. But we know his quality. Gertwood Reich's clearance rebounds back and favours Lachie Wales. Holman is back to help it away. Donachie nods it down the line. Thurgate and Wales trying to steal him, but Rodwell sees it out towards the touchline. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful from Joe Lolley. That is quality from the Englishman. Adamson. Woods, but Imai too strong. Just so calm and composed under pressure, Joe Lolley.
Well, plenty of experience, isn't there? Saw the player committing himself. Wonderful feet. Calm under pressure.
Talking to Western substitutes, as I was with Daniel Pena, he also has Noah Botic back on the bench today after his international sojourn with the Olyroos. Fancy you might think about a couple of changes, maybe even as early as half-time?
Yeah, potentially. Don't believe they've had a shot on target as of yet, so something needs to change in that area.
Might be about to. Here's Michael Roos.
I'm just looking at the stats now. That'll be their third shot. Not one of them on target yet. So they're obviously not unpicking that Sydney FC defence. So we know the quality Pena has as finding a final pass, a killer pass. And Botic has scored in previous rounds of the Australia Cup so far. So
well, the Western United Brains Trust is involved in deep debate. Laval and Roos have toiled hard, but without much joy. Garucho. As we tick over now into the first of 2 additional minutes. Lachie Wales freed by Josh Risdon. King trying to stay with him. It's really well defended. It's going to be a Western corner though. Luke Bratton in particular believed the final touch came off Lachie Wales, but the officials disagree. Now would be a very opportune time for Western to get on the board. Trying to revive their hopes in this Australia Cup quarter-final. Ben Garuccio on corner kick duty. To a decent area, but away by King. Thurgate at the top of the Sydney FC penalty area. Back through Imai. Not quite sure what that was from the Japanese central defender, but it causes no problems for Sydney FC. Sydney unbeaten, in fact, in all their 7 pre-season games, including 2 matches in the Australia Cup, where they beat Apia, and of course Central Coast Mariners on penalties. Only after a late equaliser in extra time from Jaden Kucharski. They're in a good position here at Leichhardt Oval, heading towards half-time. Bratton caught again by Roos, and Casey Rybelt is going to have a word with the Western United striker. Well, he's again perhaps a little fortunate that he doesn't attract a yellow card. A warning deemed sufficient, and now we're without a match ball, which is pretty fundamental. Now we've got one. Bit of work to do at half-time for John Aloisi, which is only a matter of seconds away. And there we go. Well, Sydney FC comfortably in front. Anthony Caceres set them on their way after 12 minutes, fed by Joe Lolly, his second goal in the Cup this season. Both scored at this venue. And then Patrick Wood, 18 minutes later, Joe Lolly again involved as Western failed to clear their lines. Not much from Western at the other end. That's going to have to change if they're going to maintain their interest in this year's Australia Cup. At the break, at a very warm Leichhardt Oval, it's Sydney FC 2, Western United 0. We're off to the break, and on the other side of it, Tristan McManus and Daniel McBreen will give us their views on the first half. Stay with us.
Yep. Welcome back to Leichhardt Oval, where Sydney FC lead Western United 2-0 in this Australian Cup quarter-final. Daniel McBreen, what did you make of that first half?
Well, I thought Sydney FC were dominant. I thought they were very good on the ball. They closed Western United down, didn't really give them any sniffs, and they've deserved their 2-0 lead, to be honest.
Has it surprised you in any kind of way, the way they've attacked this game right from the off?
No, not really. I think they've been very good. They've got two quality wingers that always cause problems for oppositions. You've got Caceres in the middle, who's technically fantastic and creates a lot of things as well. Seems to be getting on the score sheet this year as well, which is always great. But look, and their defensive unit has been fantastic. Gertwood Reich and
Jack
Rodwell, that's it.
Come on, bro.
Come on. They've been fantastic at the back and really haven't allowed anything up front.
Great stuff. Talking about Caceres, let's take a look at the first half goals. Same scorers as the last round, same order as well. Anthony Caceres got us started. He's so great. What that burst of pace by Joe Lally? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, look, it was a great burst of pace, and I think the ball slowed down on the pitch as it's a little starting to dry out a little, but that ball there is fantastic. Now, we talked about Anthony Caceres' wonderful touches. His first one wasn't that great, but his second one was sublime. Brings it straight back under control, and that third one, fantastic. Hits right in the bottom corner, gives Hewitt Bell no opportunity whatsoever to save it, and they've relied on him this game and the last game to break the deadlock, and he's delivered.
Yeah, and then followed it up with Patrick Wood again. That's 3 goals in 3 for Patrick Wood. He's a right little mongrel up front there, isn't he? But he deserves his goal.
Yeah, he is. And look, Western United had the opportunity to get rid of this ball. They had one there, then they get in trouble, and then they just get themselves in all kinds of trouble. And that's a good number 9, keeping himself central between the goals, around the 6-yard box. That anything that comes in, then he's there to sniff it off. And you know, he did it well. He's done it on every occasion so far he's been asked to. And he might pose some questions going forward to Stevie Corica with the new signings coming in to say, well, I'm scoring. How can you drop me?
I was just going to ask you about that. Obviously, when Adam Lafondra left, and now all this talk about Fabio Gomez coming in. Could it see Sydney potentially revert to a 2 up front, or would this be a like for like? Can you see that when it comes in?
Look, there's no reason why Sydney FC can't go to a 2 up front. They've basically played that way for the last 3 years. Before last season. So most of the players who have been around for a while understand it. It's not too different to what they're playing now, with a 10 in behind and 1. It's just that you've got 2 further up front. 1 can drop in. But he gives us, at the moment, he's giving them goals and he's giving them a presence as well.
Yeah, having a 2 sitting as a pivot, in my mind, first off, I think maybe it's defensive. Certainly not today. Let's take a look at the highlights from today. Dominated by Sydney so far.
Yeah, Sydney FC have controlled the game. They've had most of the possession. They've created any opportunity that's come towards goal has come from them. And that was Western United just giving Luke Bratton way too much time and space at the edge of the box. They did it again later in the game. But they need to close that space down. And Sydney FC, again, are finding space around the edge of the box. You can see there. And it's these opportunities that Western United are giving away. There's so much space. I think the players are dropping off. And that's just allowing the space for Sydney FC to get strikes away. And they deserve their 2-0 lead, Sydney FC. And this is the one I was talking, similar to the one earlier on from Bratton. He cuts inside onto his right foot. You can't all just be dropping off. You've got to get out and press the ball. So, they've sort of been the masters of their own problems, Western United. But going forward, as I said, Jack Rodwell, Gertwood Reich have been fantastic in the back too. This is the best opportunity that Western United could muster in the first half. And it was a really, off balance shot from across the body that really amounted to nothing. So Sydney FC 2-0 up, and they've been very dominant and deserved it.
They are. We've been looking at the bench there as well. You're looking at someone like Daniel Payne, who you're thinking, Botic coming on as well.
Yeah.
What difference might that make further up the pitch? I mean, it's not really going to address anything at the back for Western. The 2-0 down.
No. Well, Botic has been scoring goals as well. He's just been away with the young national teams. Daniel Pena, for those who didn't see him a year before last, he's a magician on the ball. He loves to run at plays. He can find a killer pass left, right and centre. Let's just hope that with his big knee injury that he did have, that he's come back and he's the player he we saw 2 seasons ago, because he was dynamic, he was spectacular, and he can create stuff.
I'm excited to see him. All right, this game is far from over, but there's been a lot of goals through this whole weekend. Let's recap over the other quarter-final game, starting on Thursday night down in Adelaide, where the Metro Stars took on Melbourne City. Talk to us about what you saw here, Macca.
Well, the Metro Stars have been, they've taken all before them in the regular season in South Australia, and they were very confident coming into this game and went ahead 1-0. And do you know what? They were so good. They caused problems, so many problems for Melbourne City, who don't look themselves yet. They've had probably 8 players from their starting team have left from last season, and they left it late to come back, and it took a penalty. Now, I was looking on social media with a lot of people saying that they didn't think that was a pen. I have to disagree. I think it was. I think it was clearly brought down. And then, you know, with almost one of the last kick of the game, when you think you get the penalty
That's
save,
a heartbreak.
yeah, then they get the goal and get through from behind, as we said the other 2 teams have done. So that gives hope to Western United here as well.
Yeah, I think we're falling on the fairy tale of the cup when it comes to stuff like that. But again, the quality told at the end. Second game that came up, we had Heidelberg, who almost caused an upset again. Let's take a look at this one here.
Yeah, well, this
Melbourne
game
Knights.
is two teams who know each other very well, and Heidelberg got away to this in this game and got away into a lead.
There was no doubt in that penalty.
No doubt at all. No doubt at all. Great header there to make it 2-0. And at that stage, you're thinking, well, they're just going to cruise away with this. They look comfortable. It was a very, scrappy game in the middle of the park at times. And as I said, they know each other so well. They like to get stuck in as well. So it was no surprise to finally see a red card come into the game. But they looked like getting away with it. Melbourne Knights left it late, and then all of a sudden, we're getting done by the sprinklers here, guys. That's why you've heard it go a little bit crazy. But all of a sudden, Melbourne Knights come back and took make of the advantage and got the win.
See if your hair gets wet today, it's going to be down to your ankles.
I'm telling you, I was up in the stand there for a second.
I'm going to ask you about that a little bit, because I always hear you talking about the state of the pitch and what difference it makes.
Yeah.
Used to be a landscape gardener, but I don't know anything about it. I'll ask you about it shortly. Let's keep going with these quarterfinals here for a second. The third game was obviously last night, Brisbane Roar against Wanderers.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great start for Wanderers.
No. Well, it was a great start for Wanderers when they went up 1-0, and you thought they looked good. They were Kleur was looking good down that left-hand side, but what I've seen of this Brisbane team so far in this Australia Cup is that they seem very confident going forward. Now, we're a team we've seen over the last few years that they like to sit back, soak up pressure and try and counter-attack. Well, many of these are the same players, and in those wide areas, in the attacking wide areas, they've been very good. And this young man, Waddingham, I think he is one to look out to for the future. Fantastic strike for Western Sydney, where you thought, all right, can they turn it around and start to come back? Clisby, I've been impressed with him really this season. And then Brisbane Roar decided, well, now we've had enough of this now. We're going to put this game to bed. Joe Coletti back at the club with a nice little finish, and then Henry Horde just finished it off. And they looked good going forward. Western Sydney, I don't think Marco Rudan will be too happy with that performance.
He won't be happy, but can we read too much into these games as well? It's still early doors.
Look, it is early, but you want to win.
Of course,
Marco Rudan, all these coaches are head coaches for clubs because they are winners. They don't want to go into any game and just say, oh, yeah, we'll just feel things out. Whatever team they put out, they expect that team to go out, play to the game plan, put the things into action, and go and win the games. And they didn't do that last night.
Well, look, we got 2 teams here who are dying to win. The semi-final draw, of course, comes up after this one. Before we go to the second half here, Joe Lolly, he started off how he ended last season. He's a quality player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. We've seen it today. We've seen it last season. We've seen it throughout his career. And we're like, just when we see that moment there, you think, it's probably over, this opportunity. You know, there's plenty of Western United defenders back, but his vision, his technical ability and his delivery are fantastic, and he always causes problems for the opposition defence because of that technical ability. You know, at times it doesn't always work out because of he sees things ahead of other players, but he's amongst everything. He's creative, he's aggressive, and he's everything you want from a winger.
It's hard to think that he's not going to score in this second half as well. I mean, I guess going into any half of any game, you think Joe Lolly's going to score.
Well, when you've got players like Mack on one side and Lolly on the other, you expect them to cut inside and score or create in every game because they do have that quality, and we've seen it again.
That being said, what if you were coaching this Western team now, what would you be looking to do at half-time? I mean, I called it already. I thought maybe Botic. I don't know if he's ready or not, but I'd be looking to see I'd probably change Pena and Botic. But what do I know about football?
Well, I think you're agreeing with most of what we're saying as well.
I heard you. That's why I said it. I know.
Exactly. You want to get them on. They need a little bit more of a creative spark. It's been a little bit laboured as well in the movement of the ball. Now, I don't know if it's whether it's a sticky pitch or the weather as well. That's the heat that's taken their toll on that, but moving that ball from side to side hasn't been quick enough. Sydney have been able to adapt too quickly and shuffle too quickly and close them down. So a little bit more action on the ball, a little bit more speed, and maybe that will open something up.
So maybe not too many shocks in the second half?
Too many shots?
Not too many shocks.
Shocks? No, I don't think so. I
There
think
we go.
Sydney are cruising.
Right, the teams are coming straight back out now. Back up to Simon for the second half. Simon Hill.
Thank you very much, Tristan. Just on Joe Lolly, his assist for Anthony Caceres' first goal this afternoon was his third in this competition so far. Really is having a big impact for Sydney FC. Will we see Ryan Grant in the second half? Maybe. Daniel Pena's been warming up as well, along with Noah Botic for Western. Doesn't look like either coach is going to make a change at the break, but we'll confirm that in a moment. Good to see Danny McBreen getting a shower. Trying to move away from the sprinklers and keep that hair in pristine condition. He's certainly been in pristine condition in the first half, Joe Lolly. He's going to be an important player for Sydney FC once the A-League men's competition kicks off in late October. Sydney begin their campaign with a home game at Allianz Stadium against Melbourne Victory. As for Western United, they will be facing the premiers, Melbourne City, but that's the state of affairs on this warm afternoon in Sydney's inner west at the moment. Goals from Anthony Caceres and Patrick Wood, leaving Western United with a little bit of a mountain to climb if they're to maintain their interest in this year's Australia Cup competition. John Aloisi's team never been in the semi-finals of this tournament. Do you see a way back for them in the second half, Daniel McBreen?
I'm just getting my breath back from running up those stairs, Simon. This shows how unfit I am. Well, if it stays the way it is now, as they come under another attack.
Patrick Woods leading the charge. Back to get his breath for a moment. Here's Joe Lolly, sidestepping the challenge of Danzaki. Heavy touch though by Caceres, which is unlike him. One back quickly though by King. And Mack and Caceres combine. Lolly, Mack through the legs of the defender, clipped in by King, and at the back post was Keely Adamson, who doesn't mind getting forward, who's seen that already in the first half, but not able to direct his header towards goal.
No, I've been impressed by this young man. And as the second half has started, as the first has to go as well. Nice play down that left-hand side and good intent to attack the ball. But I would say that John Aloisi has given his man probably a 5 or a 10 minute marker and saying, well, I need to see something or there will be some changes. Otherwise, this game may just eke out to a whimper.
And Sydney have just been a little bit sharper across the field. Mentioned the players that have left Sydney FC in the first half. Of course, Western United have lost a whole host of players as well. Alessandro Diamanti is retired. Jamie Young gone to Melbourne City. Leo Lacroix, Tongo Dumbia, James Troisi, Connor Payne, Neil Kilkenny, Dylan Parias, Nikolai Topor-Stanley. It's quite a list. Very much a reworked outfit, Western United, for the new season.
And of course, teams still have the ability to sign players who are out of contract. I'm sure there'll be a few clubs still looking to fill a couple of spots, but as per usual with the A-League, plenty of movement in the off-season. There's been probably more than usual going overseas this year as well, and for good fees as well.
Which is a good thing for the competition. Jack Rodwell just reaching for the ball there, but there's no foul. Michael Roos certainly felt it. Lolly riding the challenge of Danzaki and spotting a little bit of space here for Robert Mack. Fergate shut the door. Western unable to get out. Corey Holman to retrieve. Luke Bratton, who really set the template in the early stages for Sydney, thumping that shot against the upright of Thomas Heward-Bell, serving notice that Sydney are not keen to repeat last year's experience when they went out of the quarter-final stage, the Oakley Cannons. A result that put Steve Corica under a bit of pressure at the time, as I seem to remember. So they did recover to make the finals before going out to Melbourne City over the two legs, 5-1 on aggregate.
And the red card for Burgess, obviously in that second leg, had a big factor to play there. First leg finished 1-1. It was about the 17th minute. He got sent in that second game, which really made it an uphill battle for Sydney FC.
That was a good read by Donachie, and Wales will attempt to make progress. There's nobody beyond him though. Imai. It's a return from Pasquale.
Well, there's a difference from the two teams, particularly since the second half. You can hear Steve Corica asking his players to press, press, press. They want to go and win that ball back. And Western United are happy to sit into a block, and it hasn't worked.
Mack has released King down the left. Lolly in position, Wood at the near post. Lolly will really have to go some to keep that alive. He's done well. Adamson just had his trailing leg taken from him by Riku Danzaki. It's going to be a Sydney FC free kick.
Well, the Sydney FC press on the Western United possession there. They ended up winning the ball, turning it over and getting across into the box. That's what Western United need to be doing. They need to do something to change up this game. Feet from Julie Adamson there. Wins the foul and Western United under pressure again.
Lolly shapes to take. Mack does, and it's over the top by Gertwood Reich, I fancy. But again, Sydney FC were first to the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see here again the press. Hitting Western United under pressure. He was a bit free there, wasn't he, with the header as well? Probably could have done a little bit better.
Here's Michael Roos for Western. Risdon. Roos. Garucio's in a good position on the left. Western try and go through the centre, and then Adamson with slightly heavy first touch. Sydney FC good enough to recover and snuff out that particular danger. If Western were able to turn it around, of course, we have the possibility in a semi-final draw of an Aloisi derby. Brisbane Roar through last night against Western Sydney Wanderers under their new boss Ross Aloisi.
Well, they've already had one in pre-season, haven't they? It's a friendly. You can call it that. A family friendly.
A little bit different in a cup semi-final. Here's the Western substitutes, including Daniel Pena, going through their limbering up exercises. I don't think it's going to be too long before we see some changes.
No, those three have been put through their paces for the last 5 minutes. I think Botic is down there as well.
Well, they need a spark, Western. There's no doubt about that. Sydney fairly dominant at the moment. Foul by King, though, on Pasquale. Joe Lolly, he's been outstanding today. Bratton. Rodwell, who's dealt with the physical threat of Michael Roos in particular very comfortably as well. If they can keep him fit for the season, Jack Rodwell, he's a big asset. We know his quality.
And that's a big if.
It's always been the problem with Jack, hasn't it? He's such a good player.
Well, they've looked very comfortable today, Sydney FC. Senior head with a young man next to him. Controlled the match. Haven't conceded a shot on target yet.
See if that changes. Here's Ollie Laval for Western. Gonna have a go here. It's going to be a corner. Took a touch on the way through.
Well, that was probably the first time we've seen a Western United player with the space to turn. Laval and Roos have been making runs in behind, but this time Laval comes short, turn, ran at the defence, got a shot away.
Corner taken short by Wales. Garuccio. Could only pick out Caceres. There we go. Western still to register a single shot on target. Garuccio. They're pressing here though. Stumble by the fullback. Thurgate. Big touch favoured Adamson. That's clever by Wood. Showboating now, Sydney FC. And then one back strongly by Donachie. It's presented to Mack. I'm not sure he expected it to come all, and then Risdon flew into a tackle on Holman, and Risdon has come out worse. Donachie's gone down as well. Donachie's back up and about, and they're lucky that that ball is beyond Pat Wood. Risdon got the worst of that. They're still struggling to get back up to his feet. He and Corey Holman flew in for the ball. And it's the Western United captain who's come off worse.
Well, it came after some beautiful technical play from Sydney FC. Showboating really, and I think he took umbrage to that and said, well, I'm going to win this ball. And he's certainly come off second best.
I think as Holman goes to ground, his leg catches Josh Risdon in the face. This will confirm it or not.
It got a little bit scrappy there, didn't it? Sydney FC with the showboating and the scrappiness, and then just after that, replay ended. Josh Risdon went, I've had enough.
Well, Josh Risdon is a tough boy. He'll be okay. Here is that challenge. Yeah, I think he just catches Risdon on the face. Yeah. Holman, accidental, but still hurts. Doesn't have particularly great memories of the Australia Cup. Josh Risdon, he's lost 2 finals, both with Perth Glory, 2014 and 2015. He was sent off in the first one as well, against Adelaide United, the inaugural FFA Cup final as it then was. Looks like we're going to get a triple change for Western United. Daniel Pena, Steve Lustica and Noah Botic are all standing by to be introduced. Daniel Pena for his Western United debut. And we know his qualities, and still just 24 years of age. 4 goals but 11 assists during his time with the Newcastle Jets. He is a super player and could yet change the complexion of this cup tie. There's that coming together again of Corey Holman and Josh Risdon. Pretty strong challenge from Risdon, it must be said as well, but he's come off worst. Been told he must go to the sidelines before he's allowed back on, and that will give John Aloisi the chance to make this triple change. Tim Danaskos standing by with the board, so Ollie Laval will make way for Noah Botic. That's a like-for-like change. Lockie Wales will give way for Daniel Pena, and Angus Thurgate gets his number called, and Steve Lustica will be his replacement in midfield. What do you make of those changes, Macca?
Well, speaking to Tristan McManus on the sideline at half-time, he said that Lachie Wales seemed a very frustrated figure. Obviously, he was on the touchline down there near him. Daniel Pena seems to have gone out onto that right-hand side, maybe to come inside, as we see wingers do these days, into that 10 position. He'll get his first touch here.
Noah Botic has gone up top to partner Michael Roos. So still the 4-4-2, but with the inverted wingers, I guess you could call them.
Well, and already they're pressing with the 3 subs. Looks like they've passed the message on to let's go and press, try and force Sydney into some mistakes in their own half and capitalise on that.
Yeah, they need a little bit more energy about them, don't they? It's easier to say, of course, it's a very hot day in the inner west of Sydney, but Western United in danger of bowing out of this competition with no more than a whimper, unless they can put pressure on Sydney in the final half an hour. Here's Lustica's first involvement. Donachie sidestepping the challenge of Caceres. And Heward Bell, former Sydney FC goalkeeper, used to stand on the Cove. Garuccio. Held up by Bratton. Donachie. Sydney FC determined not to let the initiative slip. Imai. That touch from Caceres was enough just to throw Western off balance. They do get a throw. Semi-final draw, of course, to come at the culmination of today's game. Melbourne Knights, Melbourne City, Brisbane Roar, and one of these two to join them in the last 4. Andrew Redmayne to get Sydney moving again. He's the only survivor from a team that won Sydney FC's only Australia Cup, FFA Cup as it then was, back in 2017 against Adelaide United. That's a handball, surely. Not spotted by the referee. Sydney might be grateful for that, strangely enough, because Keely Adamson comes away with the ball. Pursued by Ben Garuccio, who incidentally also featured in that final in 2017 for Adelaide United. King. Rodwell. He's not got enough on that to find Lolly, but it is going to work out fine for Sydney. Ben Garuccio got his angles wrong, trying to get it back to the goalkeeper.
Well, this was the handball earlier. It's only the 2 hands, so maybe the left and the right cancelled each other out. And
they weren't away from the body, though. It's got to be handball, surely. Here's Lolly. Up and away by Risdon. Pat Wood has a bit of time. Bratton to survey the scene. Pings it out towards Lolly. It was a fraction high, though. And all Lolly can do is divert it behind for a goal kick. Caceres. Bratton. All the way back to Redmayne by Joel King. through, yet Redmayne still with very little work to do other than clearances. Garuccio. Holman storming through. Now Wood takes over. Lolly, there's a bit of space for Mack, but well, Joe Lolly's barely put a foot wrong this afternoon, but that wasn't his best pass of the day.
We got that one wrong. A little bit too much slice.
Peña's ball. Might be an offside flag against Michael Roos. Redmayne was out to provide the cover anyway as sweeper keeper. Lustica. Touch for Daniel Peña. Wriggles clear of Bratton. Risdon. Turned back by Lustica. Peña again. A bit more promise about Western. Botic. And they fashion an opportunity. Nodded away by Girdwood Reich. Back in by Risdon and Peña. And he and Riku Danzaki, I fancy, just got in each other's way just a little bit. And no communication, Macca.
No, I agree. Riku Danzaki is running onto that ball. It was good build-up play. Lovely ball to the back post. And look at Riku Danzaki. He's running onto that to volley at goal. If he gets a good shout there, the ball is left and he can run straight onto it. But instead, no talk. They get in each other's way and it falls harmlessly for a goal kick.
Maybe Daniel Peña doesn't understand Japanese. But it's a little bit better from Western. A bit more promise.
Yeah. They've shown a little bit more intent with the press, as we see Roos here stepping on, trying to press Sydney a little higher.
Sydney going to make a double change shortly. There's Patrick Woods. Comfortably defended by Imai. Max Burgess and Jaden Kucharski are going to be the players introduced by Steve Corica. Next break in play. Given away carelessly by Botic. Robbie Mack is onto it. Sends Lolly a bit wider than he wanted. Still got the cross in. And it's going to be a Sydney corner. Steve Corica's just going to hold off, I fancy, on this double change. Joe Lolly again in front of the Keith Barnes stand. Slice delivery, and Rodwell was unmarked. And it glances off the upright. And Sydney with that close to putting this tie to bed once and for all. They still might. Lolly in behind to steer it across, surely now. And Jack Rodwell's not going to be denied a second time. A tap-in in the end for Jack Rodwell, who has his first goal in Sydney FC colours. And surely now, Steve Corica's team are headed for the semi-finals.
Well, Western United didn't heed the warnings. Jack Rodwell from the corner is left all alone at the back post. Comes back off the post and you think, well, they've got away with it. But Sydney FC persisted and it was lovely interplay here. 1-2 in behind, and then Jack Rodwell just goes in, unmarked, in between defenders and taps it away to make it 3-0. John Aloisi will not be happy, but Steve Corica will be really impressed with his team's attacking performance there. And the man who's been so good at the back for them today pops up and gets their third.
And how about Joe Lolly? 2 assists, and he had a big part to play in the other goal as well. Sydney FC have made a double change whilst you were watching that replay. Jack Rodwell celebrates his first goal in Sydney colours. Max Burgess is back after serving his suspension following that red card in the A-League finals last year. He's replaced Corey Holman, and Jaden Kucharski is on for Robbie Mack. And you'd think that is just about that in terms of the outcome. what's turned out to be a very disappointing afternoon for Western United.
Yeah, it has. Both defensively and in that final third. The marking on that third goal. The initial corner came in. There was 2 or 3 Sydney players, all unmarked at the back post. Jack Rodwell,
Well, that foot was very high by Jack Rodwell. Michael Roos is saying, where's the yellow card?
I'll tell you what,
Yeah, I don't think John Aloisi is particularly happy about it either. Apologies for the language. It's an emotional game.
It's always emotional when you're down 3-0.
Confirmation of those changes for Sydney FC. Matt Grimaldi is standing by, incidentally, for Western United to come on next break in play. Western needs something here to give them a little bit of hope. Still yet to test Andrew Redmayne. Pena or Danzaki to deliver the free kick. It is going to be Daniel Pena. I thought he might have a shot, and at least it's on target. Comfortable for Redmayne.
First one of the day for Western United.
Into the final 20 minutes at Leichhardt Oval. It's been a very comfortable afternoon in the sunshine so far for Sydney FC. Launch forward by Redmayne. Imai's touch will be picked up by Burgess. That's been the story for much of this game. Sydney just that bit sharper. They're going to have another go here. Patrick Wood looking for his second goal of the game. And that will be drinks at the 70-minute mark, and Western will also make that change when we resume. Matt Grimaldi, the 19-year-old who scored off the bench against the Gold Coast Knights in the round of 16. He's going to replace Sebastian Pasquale. Well, Sydney FC, as we say, Daniel McBreen, very comfortable, and that goal from Jack Rodwell really just the icing on the cake, and Western United just didn't learn their lesson. Left him unmarked for the first header, which came back off the post, and he was the Johnny on the spots from Lolly's cross on the follow-up.
Yeah, he's been good. We spoke about his qualities when he's fit. He is a class player, and his main role has obviously been that defensive side tonight or this afternoon. You can see aggressive, keeping players faced away from goal in the right position when he needs to be, and then when he's really needed up the other end, he stepped up, had one chance and then put the second one away. But he's been leading by example today. It's been a wall at the back and then tops it off with that.
And yet again, Joe Lolly involved, as he has been for all 3 goals. And Jack Rodwell, one of those quality players, and he did mention his fitness, and to be fair to him, he did start 7 of the last 8 A-League men's matches at the back end of last season, so hopefully his fitness issues are a thing of the past. And he's got a point to prove in cup football as well. He was involved in 2 losing cup finals during his days in England with Everton and Manchester City. I was there for the game that City lost in the final, and he was involved in against Wigan.
Happy days?
No, don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, you've got all the happy days you could ever want these days, mate, so don't complain.
Well, Steve Corica's not complaining at the moment. His team has really delivered this afternoon. Here's Bratton, his captain. No foul. Roos held up by Caceres. Lustica finds Pena. Upended. King.
I think Joel King just had a whole heap of the shirt there and the arm.
And the leg across. It was a combination of all three, wasn't it?
Still didn't think it was a foul, but that's footballers.
Penny had a pop-up goal from the last one. This time he's trying to set up a teammate, but Redmayne read it. Sets Bratton away. He's asking too much of Lolly. Grimaldi with his first touch of the game. Garucha. Pena. Risdon pushing forward on the right. Flip ball in, only finds Girdwood Reich. Lustica as they try and reset. A little bit loose, but Donahue will pick it up. Garucho. Pena. Lustica. Risdon is the wide option. 3 in the box. It's going to be a corner off Jaden Kucharski.
Well, they're moving the ball around a little bit better, Western United. It appear to be a little too late.
See what the delivery is like from Pena towards the near post. Knocked away by Wood. Nodded back out wide by Lustica. Western throw. Sydney want to make 2 more changes. And they're going to do that now. We're going to see return of Ryan Grant after his injury concerns. And also the introduction of Mitch Glasson at the expense of Pat Wood, who again has done his job. Maintained his record of having scored in every round of the Cup. And another good showing from young Keely Adamson as he makes way for Ryan Grant's return. Always a popular figure here, of course. And Mitch Glasson, just 17 years of age. His father, Steve Glasson, represented Australia at the Olympics in lawn bowls.
I wonder if he followed his dad's training regime as a young footballer.
He's got to be an AC/DC fan, hasn't he? He's got the jack.
If you say so.
A little bit beyond Grimaldi. Girdwood Reich. Turned out wide, but Garucho nipping in to deny Ryan Grant. Lolly. Bundled off it, but Caceres wins it back only momentarily. Grimaldi trying to burst through midfield. Swept away by Rodwell, and Glasson is after it. Glasson just been away with the Australia under-17s to Thailand in June for the AFC Under-17 Cup and scored against China. He was captain of that team as well. A highly rated young attacker. Girdwood Reich. Picked up by Grimaldi. Danzaki earns the throw. I don't think we've seen enough out of Riku Danzaki this afternoon. It's not his best position, playing on the left.
Well, I don't think we've seen enough of all the Western United players this afternoon, which doesn't help.
Seen plenty of this guy, Joe Lolly. He's been terrific. Burgess. Glasson goes down. Donachie can't get it forward. It's a real scrap for possession. Burgess pulls off the attentions of Lustica. Lolly. And Imai an immovable object, and he will set Western United moving forward. Roos on the right, held up by Rodwell. Roos gets around him, and the crossing towards Botic, but Caceres had tracked back. Glasson not quite able to keep the ball alive. Tenya, almost in the left fullback position, looking to float it over the top of the run of Botic, and he did pick him out quite nicely as well. Awkward one for the striker to take, coming over the shoulder. Caceres has somehow come away with the ball. Glasson steers it towards Burgess, all a bit scruffy. And Kucharski trying to bustle his way through the middle.
Well, we've definitely seen both ends of the spectrum today, haven't we, Simon? We saw the showboating flicks and tricks from Sydney earlier on. We've seen the real scuffles and heavy tackles flying in tight areas.
This is Kucharski, who, as mentioned in the first half, kept Sydney FC's cup hope alive in the round of 32 with an equaliser against the Mariners in the last minute of extra time, which took it to penalties. Sydney won the shootout. Grant's cross and side netting. Yeah, there's a few around the ground who thought that was four. And Glasson disappointed to see that it had gone the wrong side of the post.
It was nice play from Sydney FC, wasn't it? Old stalwart Ryan Grant with a nice ball in.
Garuccio. Michael Roos. It's going to be a corner off Girdwood Reich. He doesn't think so. Never seen a defender that thought it was. Andrew Redmayne has had one rather tame long-range free kick to deal with from Daniel Pena. But little else besides. Mauricio's corner. Risdon at the back post. Manages to dig it out. Only partly away, brought down by Grimaldi. Risdon was just on his heels there. Joel King nipping in. Lustica. Square by Donachie for Imai. Pena. What's left of the late afternoon sunshine on that far side of the ground. Donachie. Garuccio. Danzaki under pressure. And out for a throw off Grant. All eyes on that semi-final draw to follow in probably around 10 or 15 minutes or so time. Sydney looking nailed on to be in the hat. Forward by Lustica, touched by Botic. Grimaldi trying to thread it through for Roos. Sydney had numbers. Danzaki, Garuccio had been bundled away, and Casey Rybelt had a bit of a think about it and then decided to blow the whistle for the infringements on Ben Garuccio. And Sydney will make a late change here. Jack Rodwell is going to get a very good ovation, I'd fancy, for his part in today's proceedings. Aaron Gerd is going to be his replacement. I don't think he knows it yet, Jack. Does now.
Well, he's had a great game today, Jack Rodwell. Defended well, led from the back, got himself a goal that's really put the Tide to bed. Great performance all round.
Aaron Gerd just getting a little welcome to the game there from Michael Roos. Free kick lacked the required quality from Pena. He's going to get another go. Again, it's a Western United throw. Sort of sums it up for John Aloisi's team. They've just lacked that bit of quality in the final third. Even Pena's introduction hasn't really changed that to any great degree.
I think a big part of that is the Sydney FC defence. They've been sharp, they've been aggressive, they haven't given Western United time on the ball, which we've seen Western United give on multiple occasions to Sydney FC. And I look at Pena as an example since he's come on. He went on in that right wing position, but he's picking the ball up in between centre backs. He's coming in the sixth position. He's looking for that ball. I think that's so symptomatic of the way Sydney FC have defended. They've been quality.
By the way, just on that Sydney FC defence, back four now made up entirely of local products.
I thought you were going to say young products. There's one glaring omission. There he is on the ball, but yep, it's great to see. All the locals.
If you count Canowindra as local, but Ryan Grant, of course, has been with Sydney FC all his career. Jake Girdwood-Reich has been very comfortable in that central defensive position. And now alongside him, Aaron Gerd, Joel King at left back. Bratton to move it forwards. Western had pushed up. Mistake by Lolly. A bit unfriendly between Ryan Grant and James Donachie, teammates last year, of course. Lifted over the top by Gerd for King. Kaczarski. Ceres directing the traffic around him. Burgess with room to turn. King. Luke Bratton looking for that run of Ryan Grant, which we know is coming. It's his trademark, but stopping it is sometimes a difficult task.
Oh, he's looking to sneak in and score another one off the nipple.
Here's Botic. There's an awful lot of traffic for him to try and bundle his way past. And we're into the last 90 seconds of normal time. And we get our first yellow card of the game. We've had to wait until the final minute of it to see it awarded. It goes to Josh Risdon. A little bit of frustration perhaps from the Western United captain.
I think you've summed that up perfectly there. It's been a frustrating day for Western United. Only managed to 4 shots, only 1 on target, and that was from distance, as you say. Didn't trouble Redmayne at all. It's been a totally dominant display from Sydney FC today.
Is there a bit of icing to come on the cake for Sydney? Lolly. A little bit of keep ball from Sydney just to run the clock down. Good. Western United chasing shadows. Caceres, look at the room here for Joel King. Oh, it's a heavy touch though by the fullback, which allowed Tomoki Imai to recover. Still Western can't get out. Little back heel from Burgess. Poor King unaware as we tick over into 4 additional minutes here at Leichhardt Oval. Grimaldi being hassled and harried all the way by Burgess. Western will have to try and pick themselves up for start of the A-League season. Less than a month away. It's a local affair against Melbourne City, their first engagement. And Sydney will be taking on the other Melbourne team, Melbourne Victory, in the latest Big Blue. Western seeking a consolation, but Lustica can't make progress. Burgess trying to steal it in behind for Glasson. Strong defending by Imai, who's played every minute of every game Western have ever played in this competition. Only 5 of them prior to today. And could they be on for a consolation here, Western? Josh Risdon left all alone on the right. Now Kachalski is across to keep him honest, and he's done better than that. He's got his team a goal kick. Even the bounce of the ball has not gone Western's way this afternoon. Shadows starting to lengthen in the inner west of Sydney. The curtain about to be drawn on the quarter-finals of the Australia Cup. Stay with us though afterwards, of course, for the semi-final draw. Melbourne Knights, Melbourne City, Brisbane Roar and Sydney FC will shortly join them. Girdwood Reich. Clipped forward by Bratton, touched by Grant and by Burgess. And even now it will break Sydney FC's way. Well, it's almost like a futsal clinic Sydney FC are putting on. Ryan Grant not happy that he didn't get a foul call there. Having a go at the fourth official, Tim Danaskos. Here's Risdon. There's the late consolation for Western. Garuccio drills it across. It touches Danzaki on the way through. And volleyed away by Joel King. Time almost up. Grimaldi. Check of the watch from Casey Rybelt. And she calls time. And Sydney FC are into the semi-finals of the Australia Cup for the 5th time, as once again they find Leichhardt Oval to their liking. Anthony Caceres set them on their way. Patrick Wood added a second. Jack Rodwell a third with his first goal for the club in the second half. Western United not at the races today, well beaten. They bow out of the competition after their best ever cup run. The last 4 draw to come, and it is Sydney FC's name that will be in the hat. A dominant display by the Sky Blues at their temporary home of Leichhardt Oval in front of an appreciative crowd. They were dominant from go to woe, and they have defeated Western United by 3-0. Well, Steve Corica will be rightly delighted with that display. Luke Bratton hit the post within the first 5 minutes, and really they did not allow Western United so much as a toe hold in the game once they hit the front, thanks to Anthony Caceres after 12 minutes. And special mention too to Joe Lolly, who was involved in all 3 goals. Thomas Heward-Bell, former Sydney FC player, offers his congratulations to his former teammates. Looking to add a second cup to their trophy cabinet, of course, after having won it in 2017. Pat Wood maintains his record of having scored in every round so far. It's a good little message to send to a new arrival, Fabio Gomez, who's looking to take his number 9 jersey. And another bonus for Sydney is that they got Ryan Grant back on the field after his injury problems as well. Let's go down to Tristan.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, I'm here pitch side with Jack Rodwell. Jack, great performance today. Pretty easy, no?
Well, you know, it was a hot day out there, so we had to get the job done early. We managed to get up 2-0 at half time, and then we managed to get the third, see the game off, so it's a job well done.
I remember when the ball came in, you hit it against the post. I was like, oh, there it goes. Yeah. 2 seconds later, you put it in. Yeah. Nothing new for you, no?
No, well, we worked on that set piece yesterday. You know, we knew that we had a bit of space at the back post. Joe's hit a great ball, and to be honest, I felt like I should have scored the header. But, you know, I managed to get the second one.
You've been very dominant today, though, as well. I mean, your class it is unbelievable. You can see it now. You're feeling very fit now as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's important for me to get good pre-season behind me, which I've managed to do. And like you said, these cup games make it even more better for me, you know, in pre-season, actually real games, something on it, and now we're in semi-final, so hopefully we can do one more and get to the final.
Yeah, we're going to be getting a draw now in 2 seconds, but tell us about that partnership you got centre half there with Young Jake.
Yeah, he's a great player, you know, he's obviously naturally more of a central midfielder, but this pre-season we tried him out the back, and he's aggressive. It's great to play alongside him, and we've got another few signings coming in, so hopefully it brings a bit more depth in the squad. Yeah,
on the back of that, and speaking of aggression as well, Patrick Wood up front. Sorry, he's been getting me as well. Put your head on there. Yeah, talk to us about Patrick as well, again, with Fabio coming in.
Patrick's brilliant, you know. I've said to him all pre-season, the work he does up front helps the team out so much, even tracking back from behind, you know, when he's out the game. He's been immense, and he got a goal today, so, you know, I'm buzzing for him.
Superb. Thanks very much for today. Congratulations. Good luck with the draw. Thank you. And thanks, Simon. I'm also here with Josh Risdon. Hey, Josh. Very frustrating day for you guys today.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty tough day. I thought we tried the whole game, battled the whole game, and, you know, I thought we were, you know, pretty harsh to go in at half-time 2-0 down. We gave them 2 easy goals, and I thought we had, you know, a lot of the play and created some, you know, half chances. But, yeah, just a bit tired towards the end there, and we kind of lost our shape a bit just going for the goal, but, yeah.
Jack, talk to us a little bit about the heat out there. I mean, we're all sitting here. We're not running around certainly as fast as you guys are. Talk to us a little bit about that as well.
Oh yeah, it was pretty tough. Obviously doing pre-season in winter and then, playing a game 30-degree heat, it's going to be tough, no doubt about it. But it's same for both teams. Probably drops the quality a little bit, towards especially in the second half. But both teams just fought well and can't complain from the effort from our team.
Yeah, it's one of those days. I mean, before this week, you're banging in goals as well for fun. Certainly with a new team. You've got Daniel Payne came on there. Laval up front as well. Certainly Bottage as well. It's a young team, but you're getting to know each other a little bit better now.
Yeah, look, we've been building really well in pre-season. The attitude's been great. There's a good belief within the team. Like you said, we got some young boys up the top who are doing extremely well. Ollie, Grimaldi, they've come in and they've fitted in well within the team from the youth team. So we're building nicely. Today is a bit of a tough one to take, but we can focus now on the season. I think there's 4 or 5 weeks left, and we'll build. And Daniel coming in now, he's had a long time out from injury, but adding him to the team will be extra special. And still finding our feet, a few of the boys up front, but we're doing well.
Yeah, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. Good on you. All right, all the best. Right stuff. Well, there we go. Tough day at the office, but here's the hold now. Daniel McBreen, talk to me about these goals.
Well, Sydney FC were dominant today, weren't they? This man was involved in everything. Joe Lolly, wonderful ball in behind to Anthony Caceres. And if you look across the board for Sydney FC players, you could say they all had a great game today. They looked sharper. They looked more intent going forward. They created better opportunities. And they just really dominated Western United. And Anthony Caceres gets 2 goals in 2 games for him. There's plenty of talk about that number 9 position for Sydney FC and the incoming Gomez, who may slot into that position. But Pat Wood's got a thing or two to say about that. He's scored in every round so far, and he's done what good number 9 should do. Be right in the right place in the middle of the goal at the right time. Took his touch and finished it away. And then the man you were just speaking to not long ago, who was a rock at the back today and led by example, got a goal to finish it off and make it 3-0. It was a dominant display from Sydney FC and thoroughly deserved.
It really was. We always talk about how important the spine of a team is. 3 goals there from 3 different lines. Jack Rodwell, it's like he didn't even play a game. He was cool as just there.
Yeah, look, he's so composed. And we know he's that quality player. He's played at the top level in the UK, and we know that when he's fit, he is a real asset to Sydney FC. And if he can pop up and score a few goals at the other end rather than stopping him at the other, I'm sure Stevie Corica won't complain about that either.
Let's take a look at the stats from today as well. Does it talk to you a little bit about the confidence? Do you see a different Sydney now? I certainly do. I'd see a very confident team here.
Yeah, look, they haven't done it easy in the last couple of rounds. They've, particularly against the Mariners, they got through at the last minute, but they dominated today. That Sydney FC possession there was more towards them until the last 15-20 minutes. You can see they've only conceded 1 shot on target in the whole game, and that was from Daniel Pena's free kick about 30 yards out that Redmayne just sort of went down and picked it up with no problems. I think that just really shows how dominant they were. They cruised through the game and they've gone into the semi-final in a pretty easy manner today.
That's it, yeah. Talking about the semi-final, that's the final game of our quarter-finals. Let's run you through the results from the other games. Again, Metro Stars, they took on Melbourne City and Adelaide on Thursday, went down 2-1. Melbourne Knights beat Heidelberg 3-2. Brisbane Roar last night 4-2 against Wanderers, and then today, obviously, Sydney FC devouring Western United 3-0, which takes us to the semi-final draw. And we're very lucky to be joined now by Franco Parisi. Franco, congratulations, Appia Leichhardt head coach, on your title this year.
No, thank you. It was a great season. It was something that we expected as a playing group, but to go through it, my first year as coach was really impressive. It was really fun.
What did you think of the game today? Obviously, you took on Sydney in the last round. So I forgot you were standing beside me when I told you how easy they were.
Look, it was pleasing to see what Sydney did well with things that we identified. And in the first half of our game against Sydney, we were able to nullify that, and that was effective. Second half, they did it a bit better, and we did it, not so well. But to see that the things we identified were the key things that Sydney can hurt you with, and then seeing Sydney hurt Western United quite simply today, it gave us a bit of peace of mind that we knew what we had to do to beat Sydney, but it was just a big ask for us to follow through with the ask.
Good job. Well, you were great. Franco's going to do the draw for us now. Before that, I'm just going to take you through the principles of the draw. And here we go. Where matches involved, any member federation club, the team that's drawn first obviously will take the home ground. Unless it, of course, is Metro Stars who are in this group, they're going to obviously get the home draw. Apart from that, in the other draws, first team hosts. So, Franco, take us to our semi-final draw for the
I
Australian
hope everyone
Cup.
got those principles because I didn't quite get them.
There's only 5, yeah, all right. Just like Dale or no deal. First one, who do we have?
Melbourne Knights.
So we just talked about it, so they're going to be the home draw. Who are Melbourne Knights going to take on in this first semi-final?
Brisbane Roar.
There we go. Melbourne Knights take on Brisbane Roar
Oh, Sydney
in
FC
the first
fans are loving that
semi-final.
up there.
That's it. We can hear the Sydney FC fans beside us here. Right, who gets the home draw for the second semi-final? Franco Parisi.
The lucky one. Let's see who we got. It's Melbourne City.
Melbourne City for the home draw. That's what they think about it. Let's just make sure we're not cheating here.
Sydney FC.
There we go. Sydney FC complete the teams just as they have today for the semi-final Australian. What do you think of those draws, Macca?
Well, I'm sure Sydney FC and all these fans up here didn't really want the Melbourne City game, but look, that'll be a tough one. The two Blues going against each other. Brisbane Roar with a tough trip down to Melbourne Knights at Knights Stadium there. That'll be a packed out crowd, I'm sure, so that'll be a difficult one, but looking forward to both of them.
What a great draw for the Knights fans, though. What do you think, Franco?
Yeah, no, it's great to see an NPL side make the semis. We spoke about it before, that there used to be one side that made it, but it's great that actually someone has earned their right to be in that semi-final. So that'll be a super game. I'm sure Brisbane will want to continue their preparation for the A-League season, but Melbourne Knights, that's everything they've got to play for the year, so it'll be a big one.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking part with us today. Just stay with us there for 2 seconds. There's plenty more football on the way, as well as this Australian Cup, starting with, here we go, Melbourne City, who we just saw, going to take on Venford Kofu on Wednesday at 7:50 in the Asian Champions League. Good game, that, Macca.
Will be a good game. Always difficult games in the Asian Champions League.
Yep.
Venford have got there by winning the Japanese Cup and in a J2, so Melbourne City will think maybe they've got a chance.
There you go. As well as that, we've got the AFC Cup coming up, where we have Terengganu FC take on the Central Coast on Wednesday night at 9:50. And that followed by Shan United, where they take on the MacArthur Bulls. That will be on Thursday night at 9:50. So plenty more football on the way. Again, gentlemen, thanks very much for today. We appreciate it. Congratulations again to you. That's all we have for you today as Sydney FC beat Western United 3-0 to put themselves in the semi-final.